This event marks the evening of respect, remembrance, and reflection of the very disturbed events that happened more than 20 years ago, and has obviously shaped the activities of everyone in this room and to broader community. To set the context of the proceedings and go into a deeper dive into what happened in the 90s and the reflections.
Thank you for being here today to commemorate the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from their homeland in Kashmir. Namaste, Sharda Devi, Kashmira Puravasini. Tvam prasida mam nitham, vidyam dehi namaste. Which means, salutation to Goddess Sharda, who abides in Kashmir. Be gracious to me always, grant me knowledge, I bow to you. Now may I ask everyone to please stand up to observe 2 minutes silence in memory of those who lost their lives as part of this exodus. Thank you. Kashmiri Pandit community was forced to leave behind not just our homes and possessions, but also our heritage, our culture, and a civilization rooted in Kashmir for thousands of years. What unfolded was not a migration, it was an exodus. Families left overnight, carrying little more than fear, faith, and the hope that the departure would be temporary. For most of us, that hope remains unfulfilled even today. We remember today those who lost their lives, who endured unspeakable trauma, and those who did not survive. The harsh years of displacement that followed. We also remember the silent suffering of parents who could not never return, of children who grew up without ever seeing Kashmir, and of a community that learned to rebuild life from scratch in camps, cities, and countries far from home, like here in Australia. Yet, we persevered. We rebuilt our lives in unfamiliar lands, holding fast to our values, to our faith, and our traditions. But as we gather today, let us remember that this struggle is not just about preserving the identity of Kashmiri Pandit, but also about preserving the heritage of Sanatana Dharma. It's about preserving the heritage of Panini, the father of Sanskrit grammar. It's about preserving the heritage of Bharat Muni, the author of Natya Shastra, of Abhinav Gupta, one of the greatest scholars of Kashmiri Shaivism, and many other countless tall figures of our Dharma who hailed from this sacred land. But the essence of who we are cannot be preserved by a few. It's a collective effort that requires the strength and unity of entire Hindu communities. Let's ensure that the stories of Kashmir and the legacy of our ancestors are passed on to our children not as distant tales, but as living traditions that they carry with pride. Dhanyavad.
The Kashmiri Exodus is often spoken in terms of numbers and timelines. But behind every number, there is a story. And to present this story and the factual accounts of what happened, its impact, and the long-term consequences, I will invite Ms. Urvashi ji to present her presentation.
Today we have gathered here not to mark a date, but to acknowledge a chapter of our living history, one that remains unfinished and very much in continuum. On this day, we recall the Kashmiri Pandits Exodus, the 7th recorded exile of our community across centuries. What was lost was not only homes and neighborhoods, but the quiet certainties of belonging, the everyday intimacy of place, language, ritual, and a rooted life. Today is not only about recognizing what was taken, but about acknowledging the endurance of a people who carried their memories with them when everything else was left behind.
Kashmir is often regarded as a beautiful geography, but it is more than that. It is a sacred land of shrines. And these shrines represent not just as places of worship, but as repositories of history, culture, and spiritual continuity.
I have Kul Devi, as most of you would know, and primarily there are 4 Kul Devis in Kashmir, and they relate to 4 temples in valley. And this is one of the Kul Devi temple called Jwalaji. It's my Kul Devi temple as well, and this was the first time I visited this temple in 2024. And I was lucky that not much crowd was there. I happened to be the only one at the time. But it was that feeling that I could visualize that my forefathers and sisters would have gone to the same temple, would have stood at the same place. So that was a very different feeling. I sat in silence. In fact, I videoed a couple of my friends here, showed that temple live. So it was you can't express that feeling, but standing there, sitting there and contemplating, thinking that yes, your ancestors, generations have been there and you are at the same place, and I was there for the first time. So that was very emotional, very touching. Other temples, the other highlight for me was the last one you would have seen, Shankarapal. That's a place where Shiv Sutras were revealed to Vasugupta when Vasugupta was struggling to defeat Buddhist scholars in debate, and he wanted to know why. And then the legend is that Shivji appeared in his dream and told him that Shiv Sutras are written on that rock. Go and read them, reveal them. And he went there. It's a big boulder where you would have noticed people sitting and praying.
Raliv, Galiv, Jaliv, convert, flee or die. These words are ingrained within every Kashmiri Hindu, whether lived through first-hand or carried through stories of our parents and grandparents. Namaskar, Meshanav Sheen Kar, and today we gather to remember the atrocities our community has faced and honour those that we have lost over the centuries. Nothing I say today will be new to any of you. We all live this truth day in and day out, but I do believe it is important to continue to stoke this fire and keep it burning within us. 19th January 1990. This date in particular forever altered the history, identity, and trajectory of the Kashmiri Hindu community. It marks the night where fear, violence, and targeted threats from extremists forced more than 300,000 Kashmiri Hindus to flee our ancestral homeland. For centuries, we were known as scholars and guardians of a rich and ancient cultural heritage. But during those dark months from 1989 to 1990, Our people instantly became internally displaced, refugees in their own country, uprooted overnight with little more than memories, faith, and hope for survival. Yet the story of Kashmiri Hindus is not only one of loss, it is just as powerfully a story of resilience. Families, including many sitting here in this room today, rebuilt their lives in unfamiliar cities, in refugee camps from Jammu to Delhi, and in small temporary homes where the future was uncertain. Careers were restarted from scratch, communities have been pieced back together, and through immense hardship, traditions were clung to fiercely, because letting go of them would mean letting go of who we are. The perseverance of our elders is not just inspiring, it is the foundation upon which our community stands today. As a Kashmiri Hindu raised thousands of kilometers away from the land our ancestors walked on, this is not simply history, but forms a core part of my identity. It is the thread that ties me to a place I have never fully known, only ever had the privilege of visiting once, and yet deeply sense and feel for. Because we have no safe physical homeland to return to, we the youth depend on our elders to carry pieces of that lost home within them. Our language, our rituals, our culture.
As we come to the conclusion of today's Kashmiri Exodus Day commemoration, I'm aware that every member of our community in this room carries their own story of 19 January 1990. We all remember the biting cold night, the confusion, betrayal, and the heartbreak of that day 36 years ago. Fast forward to the current day, what we see is incredible strength of our people. When our lives was uprooted, we did not pick up stones. We picked up pens. We did not ask for charity. We did not ask for charity. We rebuilt our lives through education, dignity, and hard work. I am profoundly proud and stand among you, the most resilient community in the world. I was born and raised in the valley myself. I still carry the memories of the mountains where I grew up and the streets that shaped me. The presentation today by Sharad and Urvashi ji and the moving words spoken by Sheen just now, songs sung by Ekta, have reignited those bittersweet memories of our homeland, the Kashmir we were forced to leave 36 years ago. Our journey from the streets of the valley to the shores of Australia has been long. But seeing us here today reminds me, while they could take our homes, they could not take our spirit, our culture, and our intellect. January 19th is not a date on the calendar, it's a day of remembrance. It's a day to honor the sacrifices of our community and to ensure that the world never forgets the night of 1990. Your presence here today is a testament that our roots remain strong even thousands of miles away from the shores of Vidasta. I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our guests for joining us. Your support and your willingness to listen to our story gives us hope that the truth of our exodus will be recognized. To the younger generation, thank you for listening. You are the keepers of our heritage. Seeing you engage with your history gives us confidence that our unique identity, our Kashmiriyat, will never fade, no matter where in the world we wander. And this was very well summarized by Sheen. So Sheen, thank you for that.
Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your unity. We are very sorry as Indians that we failed you in 1990. In 2015, I did my Master of Laws at ANU in Human Rights Litigation, and my thesis was Hindu Kashmiris. So the genocide. This was before the Kashmir Files came out, when ANU and the institution, as you may know, academia, was very, pro-Abrahamic. They did not understand who even indigenous Kashmiris were. So I sounded alien, I sounded like quite biased, but I knew what I was doing, and that is collecting as much data information as I can for the ethnic cleansing and the minorities in Kashmir. So I tried. But that was many years ago. It didn't get me anywhere until the Kashmir Files came out. The reason why I'm here today is because many years later, because of what's happening in Israel, I've connected forces with an Israeli and an Iranian social activist and human rights activist.
I see the Kashmiri Pandits as my brothers and sisters. And in the Hindu community at large, we have faced many injustices. And we have made it a habit that let's move on. What's the point? Let's not hold on to the past. Let's move on and create a better life. And we have convinced ourselves that this apathy and this forgetfulness is a form of peace and that it is our dharma. Now, one of my favorite shlokas from Bhagavad Gita is Klaibyam mas magamah partha naitattvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta parantapa. So in the Mahabharata, when Arjuna has similar thoughts, he's faced all this injustice, he's gone through a lot, but when it's time to fight, he thinks the same. Why should I do this? What is the need for this violence? It is my dharma, I'll just be peaceful and I'll walk away.
Given this thing happening in 1990, and I came to know about this when I migrated to Australia 20 years back. Probably that is the biggest irony. So I used to read the newspapers at that time. I used to read India Today especially at that time. And I am coming to know about this happening in 1990 when I migrated to Australia. And that's probably is the biggest injustice with the Kashmiri Pandit, that we were never told, or they were suffering, but the rest of the community was in slumber. I don't know why, for whatever reason, what was the situation at that time, but that was, I think, another part of the injustice that happened with them. I came here today when the notification came that would you like to go and join the program. I instantly said yes. When I left home, I told my kids where am I going, what I'm going to attend. The reason is they should know that there's something like that happened. My father is going there, and tomorrow I'm planning to sit with them, search something nice on YouTube and show it to them. Not just to tell them, just not to bring their hate in their heart, but they should know the reality, what happened. It often you get that forward on WhatsApp where they say the difference between the Jews and us, that Jews never let the word forget what happened with them. We never let our people know what happened with them, us. That is the difference. We need to make sure our kids are aware of what happened with us, what happened with our own people. If we don't know about our own self, how we can expect others to come and support us?
We all know the Jewish genocide, but most of us, including many of us, we don't know the Hindu genocide. More than 1 billion people of us were being genocide for many years, more than 1,000 years, but we don't know. But if you go to Bombay and everyone, you can see the Jewish museum and everything. Even Mumbai, we have Yashashwini said, we have a museum for Jewish people, how they have been genocide. So what all the people you said, these things need to be need to be taught to our children, especially in Australia.
Sahibo bahajane mae ye mitap kraye zai kurnas ho Sahibo kya karz batb yath lol nae zai kurnas ho Sahibo Sahibo hazai kurnas ho Sahibo Sahibo bahachane mae zai kurnas ho
ये मिचानी शहरिक लुख छ वपरन चश्म वथरावान हरान चुसब जाने जाय जाय कर नस्ब zun gash mans Yusuf banit zadrag dal salas laran pat chas chane जाय कर थसब साहिबो हाँ जाय कर थस हो साहिबो बहाचाने माए जाय कर नस हो. Thank you.
For all types of criminal law, family law, immigration law, conveyancing, and employment matters, please contact Tarandeep Singh on 0470 412 600.